Matt Gorman, Philly's finest, that has since moved down to Nashville to pursue his dreams in country music. Man, I'm excited to have you on here, dude. This will be fun.
Joe, it's a pleasure to be here, man. And I'm looking forward to it, and got a lot to talk about, so it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah. All right. So, Interact, Penn Charter. First question: how many South Philly folks have moved down to Nashville that that down in Nashville,
Um,
or is it or is that number one?
I think residing here, I might be the only one. I know there's people that are from the Philly area that live in Nashville, and I've got to meet some of those people. They're awesome, but as far as South Philly, I think I might be the lone wolf.
The lone wolf. I love it. What's cool, man. I'm just yeah. Your story is. I was just saying, you're pursuing your dreams here, man. You're going after the country music career, and it's admirable. So, dude, I'd love to just hear, man. So, South Philly, how did you end up going to Penn Charter?
Man, I mean, so baseball family, right? My brother went to Newman Goretti. My sister went to Newman Goretti. My mom and dad went to Newman and Goretti when it was split. But I grew up in South Philly, and a lot of my friends that I went to grade school with, they all kind of went to the same schools, Newman or Roman, St. Joe's Prep, stuff like that. But when I was in middle school, there was a coach at Penn Charter. And he recruited me when I was in like seventh grade, I think it was, to try and go for eighth to play up in the high school year. And I was too dumb to get in, so I failed the test like three times. But um, I was uh, I was politely rejected, I would like to say, from the head of school or whatever it was. But I didn't really stop trying because I wanted to go to Penn Charter. I had one of my best friends was going there, Kenny Bergman, and you know, I knew the baseball program was reputable. I believed in the coach, and it seemed like a challenge, and it was also different. It was away from South Philly. It was away from everything that I knew and everybody that I knew. So it was kind of for me. It was an opportunity to, I don't know, to build a life that nobody knew who I was. So, I mean, I had a reputation, I guess, with baseball, so that helped my transition. Um, but I didn't know anybody, and they didn't know me, and I had the opportunity to start fresh and build a life that I wanted to, and that was kind of my thing, that I was really after. And I didn't have anything to hide when I was younger. Like, it wasn't like I was trying to escape some reality, but it was a challenge, and I wanted to just try it, man. And it was tough, but I definitely helped a lot.
Seems to be a recurring theme for you. Just kind of
Yeah, I guess
paving your own way.
I guess I'm a risk taker. You can say that.
That's cool. You played with some good ball players too at Penn Charter.
Dude, we had
Yeah.
fun. We had so much fun. In my freshman year, we won the interact or split, I think, with Malvern actually. Um, and that team was amazing. Steve Cohen and Kenny, Zach Wilgus, TJ Pagan, all those guys. And then, we had some good years in between, but my favorite year was my senior year because Joey Lancelotti came back to Penn Charter, and we're still best friends, Joey and I. And Mike Ciani, Sammy Ciani, Toso, Adam Holland, Brendan Salucci. I mean, we have a bunch of guys that are playing pro ball right now that went and played Division One, and um, man, that was probably the most fun year of baseball I've ever had in my life, to be honest.
Well, Interact Baseball, man, some of the best, arguably in the country, I would say.
Yeah, I
I'm
would
a
agree.
little bit biased, but Malvern did just get a championship the other day as well. So
How about
we
that?
got to give that a quick shout out. But
That's
um,
awesome.
so man, so from Penn Charter, you ended up going to community college, right? Or JUCO down at Harford.
Yep, Harford Community College.
Okay.
That was cool.
What was the thought process there? Were you getting recruited by schools, and then that was just kind of the best opportunity, or how'd that work out?
Man, it was so my freshman year of high school, that was like my peak year of existence in baseball. I threw the hard
Join the club.
Yeah, it just went all downhill really fast. But I was 14 years old and I was throwing 91. That was just a gift. But that year I was being recruited by a lot of schools. I mean, I took a visit to Penn State before I played a high school game. University of Washington, Stanford, UNC, all the schools that I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be the easiest thing. I'm going to just get to go do whatever I want. And then I had my first shoulder surgery after my freshman year, which was like a bone spur, so nothing major, but enough to, not be pleasant, I guess. So that kind of dwindled, and my sophomore year, I didn't really pitch much. Had another surgery to fix what they messed up, essentially. Um, Junior year, I kind of came back healthy, but I was pitching limited innings because I was still not right. And then senior year, I was healthy again, finally. But it was just a weird transition from being a freshman and getting recruited by Power Five schools throughout the country, and everybody knowing who I was in a way, to very quickly being forgotten, essentially. So that my senior year, I had offers and stuff to go to Division II schools, and some smaller D1s that I didn't really want to go to. Just I didn't have a place that I was like confident in. And I was at a camp at University of Delaware, and I was pitching. It wasn't a camp; it was a tournament, a summer ball tournament, and I was pitching there. And the assistant coach at Harford came up to me and was like, "Hey, dude, I'm a JUCO coach. Yada yada. Would love to bring you out and show you around." Anyway, so I went, to Harford to visit it. John Castro was the coach. Still love Castro. He's a great dude. But
Johnny
then
Castro. I
yeah,
know Johnny Castro actually from growing up, believe it or not.
Castro. I mean, I give a lot of credit to anything that I'm doing. Like whenever there's a day that I have to thank people for whatever, Castro's on that list because he helped change my life. And
Great dude.
man, so he got me in the door at Harford, and truthfully, it was between Harford and St. Joe's. Those are my two things, and it was either go to St. Joe's and stay in Philly or go experience the world. And I really wanted to get out of Philly. Not that there's anything wrong with Philly, but I just always kind of had a roaming spirit, want to go see different places. So I went to Harford, and then I had my third shoulder surgery as a freshman. So I missed my whole freshman year, and I was on the fence, dude. Of like, I was very close to quitting. Actually, like I told my family, if I have to have one more shoulder surgery, it's not worth it. Like, I'll get my degree and whatever, and I'll go to work because I don't feel like dealing with the rehab or the pain or any of that stuff. And my brother was the one that talked me off the ledge because I was leaving the doctor's office in Delaware where I got the last two surgeries, and he was the first person I called because he's been through the ringer. And he was like, just give it one more chance. So I did, and I ended up having the best year, besides my freshman year of high school. My sophomore year, redshirt year at Harford, was pretty awesome. I pitched really well, and had some other offers and stuff, but I wanted to go to Lipscomb because it was in Nashville, and a friend of mine told me about it, and I didn't have any offers from Lipscomb or anything. There was really no communication. It was just word of mouth, and one of my summer ball coaches from year back or two reached out to the recruiting coordinator and said, "Hey, there's this guy that really wants to go to Lipscomb, and you know, maybe you should check him out. He's doing really good in junior college." Nothing, crickets. Um, they told him that they had all their roster spots filled, all their scholarships given up, or taken up. So there's really nothing that they can do, which is fine. So I went to North Dakota. I got offered to play in the Northwoods League. So I spent a couple weeks out in Bismarck, um, playing out there, and I got a message from the recruiting coordinator at Lipscomb, and he said, "Hey, our pitching coach is going to call you in a day or so." I was like freaking out because one, Lipscomb's a Christian school. That's important for me. Two, it's in Nashville, which was essentially where I wanted to go anyway. And three, it was Division I. So I was like, check, check, check. Um, I get a phone call that they would like me to fly to Nashville and check the school out, and ended up happening that one of their recruits that was on scholarship changed his mind last minute, and that opened up a spot for me to be able to go. So that was kind of how I got to Lipscomb, that's just a God thing.
Wow, man, that's a pretty wild story. Yeah, because you imagine what would have happened had your brother kind of not talked you into
Yeah.
sticking it out and playing. You
There's
might be
so
back
many
in
things.
South Philly. Not that there's any again. South
Right.
Philly's great, but you want to be pursuing what you're doing now.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, I was also going to say because how many kids from the Northeast? I don't know anybody else that's going to Lipscomb. I mean, that's got to be heavy Nashville, right? Like heavy Tennessee recruiting population, I'd imagine.
There was only one. He was there before me, but he was from Pennsylvania. His name is Chris Cashmar. He plays for the Cubs organization now, but he was the only guy that I knew of that was from that area. Because when I was there, it was a lot of Georgia and Florida guys, Texas, Tennessee. Um, I was the only guy from the Northeast on my team for sure.
So that's awesome. I was going to ask you, did you want to go to Nashville? When did you pick up a guitar? Maybe that's a better question. Like,
Yeah,
was that part of the reason, the back of your head? Like, how much did that factor in wanting to go down to Nashville?
110%. Yeah,
Okay.
that was the main
All
thing.
right, so that time lines up. All right, all right.
I don't want to say that I played the system, but I played the system kind of. I got my first guitar in second grade. My parents got me a guitar because me and my best friend wanted to be the next Green Day of all things. So the band Green Day inspired me and my friend to get a guitar. And I took one lesson in second grade, and it was at this place on South Street in Philly. And we were in it it was the weirdest experience of my life. And I was again in second grade, so I was super young, but like I just remember very vividly how it looked and how it smelled in this closet style room with this really strange dude that was probably high or whatever, and teaching me how to play. It was just terrible. So I looked at my parents and I was like, "This ain't for me." So that guitar that we just spent a couple $100 on sat in my bedroom from second grade to like seventh grade. And one day I picked it up and I was like, you know what? I just want to just mess around with it. And I learned how to play on YouTube. So like eighth grade, I started picking up YouTube, and in my freshman year of high school, I really dug into it and learned how to play. But I never told anybody. Like nobody knew that I played guitar or the fact that I could play the piano by ear. Like I never told anybody because that time frame I was athlete, and at Penn Charter, the music department and the athletic department were so polar opposites that I was so terrified to walk the line in the middle. And I wish I would have. I mean, I probably would have learned so much, but I just kind of kept it to myself. Anyway, junior college, go to Harford County, where again, nobody knows me. Nobody knows a thing about me. Fresh start again. And I'm writing these horrible songs, because junior year of high school was where I picked up writing poetry class. And I'm playing, this open mic night at this bar next to our sports complex at Harford, and all my teammates are coming out and watching me sing these terrible songs or cover songs, and they thought it was the coolest thing. So I was like, dang, like this is pretty fun. I really enjoy, doing this in my free time, and I kind of just kept doing that a bunch, and I just. The writing for me was the most important thing. I was able to write songs somehow. Like I sent them to my friends, and they actually thought it was cool. So for me, it was any validation that I needed that, all right, I might not be horrible at this thing. So maybe it's worth kind of spending some time on. And, I found out about Lipscomb, and stars aligned, God answered. So that's how I got there.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's funny because that's probably most high schools though, or a lot of places. I don't know. I mean, at Malvern, it was you're kind of an athlete or you're into the arts, or there's really not much gray. There's not much overlap in between the two. At least I can't think of any off the top of my head. Um, when did you I guess kind of finally start feeling comfortable to be like, all right, this is kind of just who I am? I mean, you just talked about it a little bit, but did you kind of need some of that validation, you think, or would you eventually have just done it yourself, I guess?
I mean, I probably would have did it either way because I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed writing songs. Like I enjoyed the challenge of writing poems essentially, and then figuring out how to play the guitar and sing to the poem because that was how it started. And I think one of the coolest, and this is going to sound so dumb, and it might sound egotistical, but I remember that one of the one of the open mic nights that I played at this bar, it was called Naughty Dogs in Bel Air or Harford County, and it was just a restaurant. But I remember my whole team went one night, and I was grabbing my guitar from my apartment, and one of my buddies came in and said, "No, no, no, you don't carry that. You're putting on the show. I'll carry that guitar for you." I just remember like that very clearly. I just laughed and I was like, dang, they actually think it's kind of cool. Like, and it never like got to my head. I never made anybody carry my guitar. I still carry my own guitar, but I was just like, they're really enjoying this. Like, they're enjoying me doing something that's different. So I was like, maybe I should try and channel it a little bit or learn how to do it better and keep doing it. And that was just a spark moment for me. That was like, this is fun. Like, I just enjoyed it. You know, there was really no expectation when I was 20 years old playing an open mic night at a bar that nobody was at besides my teammates that I was going to be in Nashville, you know, making records or writing for other artists. Like, that wasn't in my head. It would have been cool, you know, but I just had fun and it was awesome. And it took me to where I'm at, I guess.
So you had no intention of really doing anything else. Like once, I mean, baseball kind of comes to an end, right?
Yeah.
Did you did you consider getting any other job, or were you like, I'm sticking with this?
Oh, dude, I worked a lot of jobs. But the thing was, I didn't, and I don't have a plan B, and I never will have a plan B because, and thankfully, plan A is working out for me. But when I graduated from Lipscomb, um, I got a job. I guess I was still at Lipscomb technically. It was summertime before my last try semester. I was cutting grass at a golf course, and I would get there at 5:40 in the morning, cut grass till like 12 o'clock, and then do all the other stuff, and then go play golf. That's where I learned how to play golf. So that job just put some money in my pocket, not good money, but money to be able to write on my free time and play. And that was the year that we did American Idol and stuff. So that was just giving me the ability to kind of like work in music without really making money doing it. And then after that job, I worked at a restaurant for about a year and a half. I bussed tables for 6 months. And then I got promoted to being a server. And it was like an Italian restaurant here and, decent restaurant. But the only reason why I did that was so that I could write during the day. Like I would have my calendar would be booked up with people that I never met or people that I've worked with before that I liked. So that job enabled me to use my days to write and do stuff. And then after I would work, nights I didn't work, I would go play like the bars or, the writers rounds and do whatever I could to play. Um, and then eventually I got super sick of that job because in the middle of that, I was dealing with, publishing deals. I was meeting with publishing companies because my name was starting to, dwindle around Nashville a little bit and people were hearing some of my songs and my voice and they were curious, I guess. So I was taking meetings and I thought it was going to work out faster than it did. Thankfully it didn't. I'll tell you why. But um, I left the restaurant job and then in not this past August, but the August before that, I started working a sales job for a company called Leaf Filter. One of my buddies worked for them, and I was selling gutter protection. So I would drive about 1,000, 1,200 miles a week, and from Nashville to Kentucky, East and West Tennessee, South, selling gutter protection. And I made a lot of money doing that, but at the same time, the only reason why I took that job was so that I could write around it and play around it. It was flexible enough to be able to do both. And then while I was working there is when I was offered a publishing deal to be able to write for a living. And that's where I'm at. But for me, it wasn't exactly about the jobs that I was working. It was about the time that I had working those jobs to do the music stuff. That was to me way more important than, bringing home as much money as I could.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So everything basically you were doing was just to sustain
Yeah.
the music career, pretty much. Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
1,000%. And none of it was really fun. I'm not going to at all. But I just, I met some amazing people that helped along the way, in the best possible ways. But they, that was for me, I was all worth it. I needed money to pay rent, needed money for my car and gas and food. And I needed to be writing as much as I could so that I could get better and get into better rooms and get better opportunities.
Hmm. Yeah, man. So what's the reality of that, like just a country music singer trying to make it on Broadway? So my sister went to Vanderbilt actually,
Oh, sweet.
so we would get a chance to go down there, for her graduation, things like that. And Nashville's incredible. It's just it's so much fun. You can have a great time on Broadway down there
Yeah.
if you really want. But but you just appreciate, or maybe some people don't appreciate, I don't know, like those singers in there are probably a lot of what they're making a living on is the tips that people are giving them,
Yeah.
just people flowing in there, and like they're grinding all the time. So yeah, like what's just the reality of that? Just some of those people that are, so, some of those people that are just trying to make it. Like what's that like?
Man, there's two ways you can go, or you could take both roads, and it gets exhausting. I kind of did the both roads thing because I wanted to, and I wanted to. I mean, everything else I did felt like it was pretty full steam, so I figured I'd go full steam at this thing too. So I was focusing on the writing path, which is it's sustainable, but there's very little money in it. And there's also the Broadway thing where there's little money in it, but there's more money than writing, but it's also extremely taxing on your voice, on your body, on your mind, on your liver if you're into the drinking thing, which most people usually are. And when they're free, it's hard to say no. So like all that kind of stuff, there's those two lanes. Um, and the thing about Broadway is it's an amazing place to practice. It's an amazing place to make extra money on the side. Or for most people, a lot of people, it's their sole income. So those guys or girls are playing on Broadway 3 to 5 times a week for 4 hours each. So, 4 hours singing one night is a lot of singing. It's a lot of songs. It's a lot on your voice. So doing that multiple times a week for me wasn't exactly my favorite thing. It actually kind of, I don't want to say ruined my passion for music, but it burned me out quickly because I was tired of singing songs that I didn't write for people that didn't care for 4 hours for $200. So like there is that reality of it, and it's fun and it's important. It's there's a part of it that's necessary, but it's taxing. And then the reality of the writing thing is you don't make money until you make money, and the way to make money is to have a song on the radio from an artist that's on the radio, or for you as an artist to break and start playing shows that are paying you good. Um, and to be able to make money on the road, you have to be getting paid good. To get paid good, you have to have numbers and you have to have some type of reason for somebody to pay you good. So it's a lot of shows that we've played on the road in the last couple of years. We're barely breaking even. If we are even breaking even, most of the time it's a loss to go play somewhere because you have to pay for a van, you got to pay for hotels, plane tickets, food. And by the time you do all that, the $800 or $1,000 that you're making from a bar is covering all that, and you're not walking away with anything. So, um, you know, there's a running line in Nashville that if we were in it for the money, we all would have quit a long time ago because there's realistically not a lot of money in it until there is. But for all of us, the ones that do it and the ones that love it, it's not really about that. It's
Mhm.
about the fact that we get to wake up every day and kind of and truly realistically do what we love. I mean, I get to wake up and make things up from thin air every day, and to me, that's enough. It's a blessing. I make enough money to pay rent and pay for my truck and do things. And that's cool. But there's obviously a goal that we have to reach and
Yeah.
meet. So
Yeah, dude.
that's the
Yeah.
reality of it. That's kind of how life spins down here.
Yeah. It's a grind. It's a grind, man. Yeah. I mean, those bachelorette parties, you're saying they don't appreciate some of the some of those singers out there. Yeah, just bouncing around.
They make you think they appreciate it, and then
Yeah, yeah, exactly. um, so what about like the art and science of writing a song? I mean, there's got to be some like natural ability to do that, but then there's also got to be a little bit of that the science aspect of it, right? Where you kind of have to have a format or anything, but just what's that process like?
man. So there's a there's a format or a formula, to writing songs for sure. There's typically how it starts is you have an idea. That's kind of where most things come from. Is you hear. For me, most of the time, is I hear somebody in conversation say something, and I'm like, "Oh, that could be a song," and I write it down. Um, and then I'll spend time by myself working on that idea, so that when I have a write with other people, co-writers, I come into the room with that idea, and I'm like, "Hey guys, this is what I have." And if you're writing with somebody that knows a thing or two, or they've done it for a while, they typically do the same thing. So we spend about 15 to 20 minutes focusing on what song we're going to write, what idea we're going to pick, what route we're going to take. Um, so that's kind of a basic setup. But as far as it goes, I mean, songs that are on the radio, I've been very fortunate that the people that I work closely with now, my boss slash one of my best friends, he's he's had a lot of success writing songs on country radio. For instance, songs like "Somewhere on a Beach" by Dierks Bentley, "Girl Like You," Jason Aldean. I mean, "I Ain't Ready to Quit." You know, there's so many songs that he's wrote that he's kind of has this way of going about it, and we listen to him and trust him, and we learn from him too. So, um, the science behind it, I would say, is it revolves around an idea and a melody, and you go in and typically you're writing a verse, a chorus, a verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. And that's pretty much the formula for let's say modern day radio song. But then it's fun because sometimes you can break the formula and just be creative, which I tend to do a lot nowadays. And I actually like it more because it's not so, you can't just kind of guess what's happening next. Like, it takes you to a place. So there's been, I mean, for the last couple of years, I've been following that formula, and now I'm starting to kind of, I don't want to say make my own, but just whatever feels right is kind of what's been happening, and it's been working. So, I mean, it just also gives you a different joy of creating instead of just feeling like you have to show up and punch the same thing every day. So yeah, there's a science, but it's also an art. And I mean, if it wasn't an art and it wasn't a science, everybody's process would be the same, So that's kind of where, I guess, long story short, that's the answer. It's
Yeah.
more of an art than a science.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking like it's not a punch the clock type of job, right? I mean, if you go in there, if you go in there one day and there are days you go in there, you just don't have it, or what do you do?
Oh yeah.
What do you do then?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. There's a guy that writes at the company that I write at, and he's older than I am by a handful of years, like a good amount. And he's been doing it for a long time. And he said one day, because we were writing and I was having one of those days. It happens where we're just like, nothing's clicking. I have no melodies, no lyrics, no idea. And he was like, "Man, oh, it's a good thing we don't get paid by the hour." And I looked at him and I was like, such a true statement. He's like, "Remember that we don't get paid by the hour. So like, if we sit here for 4 more hours and try and write this song, we're not making money on that. We're getting a draw, and it's the same number every month. At the end of the month, we get that paycheck. So we're being paid to be creative, not forcibly, but when it happens, it happens." So like that's, there's days that I don't have any rights at all, and there's days that I have three. So it's kind of just like, when it's going, it's going. When it's not, it's not. And then when it's not, you just really got to sit back and chill until it happens, because you can't really force that kind of thing.
So that's kind of like the business side of it a little bit, like behind it. What's the music industry like in general? Like, I don't know. I'm sure there's pros and cons to it, but I mean, you have to be signed to one of those record labels, right? I mean, there's not many.
Yeah, brother.
There's not many. Yeah. We'll run out of. I got all night, man. You can keep it now. But like I'm trying to think. Like, there's not many independent artists, right? You almost have to be signed to a record label. Is that's accurate?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Is that a stupid question? That's
no. It's actually a great question, and it's a question that I'm actually learning about, because I'm in it, and I'm very new to it. I mean, I've been signed to my deal for a little over a year. I'm on year 2 of my publishing deal, which publishing is strictly writing. Record deals are a lot different, where there's other companies that front all of the money to pay for your projects and to pay for your promotion and content, and to pay for your songs to be on the radio. Most people don't know, but when there's songs that are on the radio, the record label has to, support that. If you get what I'm saying, they have to be able to help that song climb. Mm-hmm. But there are artists that, like Zach Bryan, he's not on the radio. He doesn't have a record deal, but he's got a massive fan base, and he just, he does his own thing, and it works for him. He sells out stadiums, and he just sold his catalog, which means all his songs, the rights to them, for $350 million. So there's that route that you could build it organically. And there's also the route that you sign a record deal and you give up a lot. Like you give up a lot to do that. I mean, there's recently in January, I was offered a record deal by this company. I'm not going to say any names. It's not important, but it wasn't a deal that I felt that was right for me. Right. So there's going to be people that sign that deal. But for me, I didn't feel as if it were the right thing to do because I wasn't ready to give up my creative freedom. I wasn't ready to give up my rights to my music. I just didn't feel like I'm in a place to do that yet. So there's that kind of thing where you can really just keep taking the risks and pray and hope and work your tail off until something works. And there's no guarantee that it will, and you reap the benefits of that financially. You reap the benefits of it with your freedom. And then there's the other route where you let somebody else make those decisions for you and you kind of just play frontman. Kind of how it goes.
So what? I don't really take you as the guy, that, at least to this point. That I mean, you just said it. That wants to put your fate into somebody else's hands a little bit. Is that?
I mean, that's
Yeah.
man, my fate's in God's hands, and I'll die on that hill. I will do everything I can humanely possible on earth to be the best representation of myself that I can be. But ultimately, if God wants it to happen, it will happen. If He doesn't want it to happen, it won't. I mean, I'll do everything I can. I'll write the best songs that I can and perform my heart out every single time. But uh, that's where I stand. That's kind of how I've been able to maneuver this system peacefully for me. I just, not that I don't trust other humans, but there's one thing that humans have they'll have from the day they're born to the day that they die, and that is your name. And my name, I value my name, and I want my name to be respected. So I want to decide how people perceive my name. I don't want somebody to really make that something that I'm not. And I was fearful of that in that situation. So that's why I kind of stayed
Yeah.
away.
I love that, man. That's awesome. You just touched on something real quick. I'm curious about, because this show, I mentioned it. You're the first country music artist we've had on the pod. So it's a lot about athletes, and I've kind of been asking a few people kind of about the mindset, like the mental performance aspect behind some of it. And what you just said about kind of going up and performing, I feel like there's got to be some parallels between like right before you go up there, right before you go on stage, and almost right before you take the mound, you're ready to throw those warm up pitches, right before you get in the box, etc. Like, what are you kind of feeling right before you get on stage, and then when you get up there, what are the emotions like?
Man, it's an adrenaline rush, but in a different way. Um, Crazy enough, I mean, I haven't played personally the biggest stages. I haven't played in amphitheaters or anything like that. So I'm taking this based on the stages that I've played. And I'm playing in Wildwood this summer at the Barefoot thing. That'll be a huge thing for me, and I anticipate that. But for me, being on stage is actually one of the most peaceful places that I can find myself. And that sounds crazy, I know, because I'm a very ADHD person. I'm all over the place. Can't sit still. Can't focus on one thing. Like, it's hard for me. And when I'm on stage, there's nothing in the world that matters more than where I'm at. That's how it was when I was pitching. Like, when I was pitching, the only thing I was thinking about was the ball and the catcher's glove and getting that guy out. That was my sole thing. And on stage, it's a very similar feeling. You're locked in. You're delivering the song that you poured your heart into and did all the work for to get it to a place that's ready to be performed on stage. For me, man, that's where I love to be. I love to be in the writing room. That's the hard part. Writing the song is the hard part. Singing it and playing it and getting people to feel it, for me, is the part that I enjoy the most. So that adrenaline rush it's not really so much like, oh my God, I got to get out there and have a great time. It's just like, finally, I get to get on the stage and be at peace in some way. Everybody's different, man. People need to take shots before they get on stage, and people want to do this and do that and have a great time. And I'm the same way, but man, it's a weird piece. It's a weird, comforting place for me to be on there. And I hope I get to do it for a long time.
Sweet, dude. Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? It is that comparison between what you were saying about the mound,
Yeah.
or yeah, like for me, yeah, you kind of remember times when you're in the box when things are going well. You're in the box and everything slows down, and you're kind of in that zone, right?
100%.
And that's a great place to be, man. That's right, like the flow state. It
Yeah.
doesn't get much better.
Yeah.
Doesn't get much better than that. So
It's awesome.
it's awesome, man. Do you have a like a favorite song that you've written, or
Yeah.
yeah, like a favorite song you've written to this point?
Yeah, I do. And nobody's heard it yet. It's called,
Spoiler alert, we're gonna break it with this.
yeah, it's going to come out in August. It's called Church. And, it's about exactly what you're thinking. So, um, there's so many songs. I mean, I can sit here and count, but it take forever from 2020 when I was first releasing music until now. I mean, there's 500 plus songs in my catalog. Um, and of those 500 songs, there's probably 30 that are worth a crap. Um, so music is also not a numbers game, but it's wild because there's songs that I will sing until the day that I die, and there's songs that I have out that I'll never sing again. Um, but the song Church, I wrote it in I think it was March of last year with two of my close buddies, and it's just it's the most accurate representation of where I'm at in my life right now and where I plan to be for the rest of my life. Um, so when it comes out, I think people will understand why. And I've played it out a handful of times. I've played it at some pretty awesome shows, and the response has always been everything I hoped it would be. Um, it's drawn a great reaction, and it's drawn people to ask questions. And one of my favorite parts of playing shows is afterwards having those conversations with people that wonder or have questions about church or faith or anything. Doesn't matter if it's about that, but that's the song that has drawn the most people to ask me things that I was able to answer and able to talk about. And that's a massive part as to why that song will always be my favorite.
Hmm. So can I mean, I guess you can kind of feel when people's emotions are moved by one of your songs, right? I mean, can you kind of feel that when whether you're performing or even if you're writing it? Like, can you kind of get that, get that feel that this is going to be something that people are going to feel emotion?
Um, Performing, yes. Writing, sometimes. It's very hit or miss. There's songs that I wrote that I was like, the song stinks, and somebody else thought it was the best thing in the world, and it's helped do things for their career. So I'm like, all right, cool, But for me, what's important about the songs that we write is that we do test them, right? So in Nashville, there's these things called writers' rounds. And basically, there's 3 to 4 people on the stage at once going song for song for song for a live audience. And they're all over town. So you can go to any bar in Nashville uh, besides Broadway. That's not really writers' round territory, but like the Mumbrian or Midtown, or you go to the listening room, which is the staple of what it means to have a writers' round. I just played there twice in the last couple weeks. And that place is where I like to test songs out because I get an honest reaction from people that are paying attention. And there's definitely something to be said about when you're singing and you kind of got them in your hands, because then your confidence just goes straight to the roof. Mine does. Um, when I start singing church, I know from the first line is ain't saying I won't have a drink, or use a 4-letter word sometimes. And after I finish that, everybody's just looking, and I could see it, and I'm like, I got him. Here he goes. Now it's time for me to do
Got
it.
them hooked.
But
Yeah.
when we wrote that in the room, I didn't know it'd have that response. I felt good about it, but it wasn't until I've played it and seen how it's, interpreted that I knew.
That's awesome. You kind of hook them, and
Yeah.
everybody's in from that point. Dude, really cool, man. How do you practice too, by the way? Like, how do you hone your craft a little bit? You got the guitar hanging up over your
Yeah.
left shoulder there. Do you practice on a daily basis? Is it like intentional practice almost, or is it kind of just messing around a little bit?
I mean, it started out messing around, but now everything's pretty much intentional. I still have fun with it.
Uh huh.
There's times I just pick it up and noodle, but I mean, I write every day, so in a way it is practice of trying new things, figuring out different melodies. But for the guitar, like um, I've been playing it for a long time, and I'm still learning different things every single day, how to make it sound different or how to play different chord structure. So it's practice, but it's also it feels like I'm getting paid to practice essentially. Like that's kind of what it feels like. Every day's practice,
Yeah.
but I'm learning. Every day I try to learn something with it and try to get better at it. And I've gotten a lot better at playing the guitar in the last few years just by experimenting and figuring out different things. And it's pretty cool because I guess I have like my own thing. And every time I write with people that know, they don't bring their guitars. They let me just mess with it, and they're like, "All right, we're gonna Matt's right, and he's gonna play the guitar, do something crazy." But um, it's kind of cool though, because here's a short story about how things are, I guess, kind of going. There's a song right now that's coming out by an artist. There's a guy named Bailey Zimmerman. Yeah, so
Yep.
he just recorded a song that I wrote with my fiance and two of my best friends, and there's a guitar part in the beginning of it, and in the middle of it, na 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 na. That was me, like literally sitting on my living room couch, messing with my guitar, and I stumbled upon that. I looked at my buddy and I was like, "That's kind of cool, isn't it?" He goes, "That's really cool. You should record that." So I got my phone out, recorded it, and then we wrote it, and now it's going to be Bailey's new song. So like, just things like that. I never would have been able
That's
to do
sweet.
that a couple years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice, man. He's blown up too. I'm a fan
Yeah,
of his
yeah.
music. Yeah.
It's
Rocking a hard place.
yeah,
All those good songs. Yeah. He's great.
that's neat, man. It's kind of a monumental opportunity for us
Yeah.
because we're still not where we would love to be, but we're making our way there. And for us, this could be something that um, really helps. So we're really thankful, to be honest. I mean, it's pretty cool to watch it unfold.
Sweet, dude. I hope it does for you. Well, man, we'll kind of start to wind down here.
Yeah,
Just dude, thanks for hopping on. I wanted to ask you. I kind of open up with a little bit, but just kind of like pursuing your dream, like that's kind of a corny, whatever, kind of stupid thing to say, but pretty much doing that versus going the conventional route, which a ton of people do, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. I don't even know what the conventional route is really. I mean, it's just maybe something that I'll put it this way: maybe you're something you don't love doing versus literally pursuing what you want to go after, which you've been doing. Um, you just have any thoughts around that, or maybe if somebody's listening in that is kind of in that spot, like what you would say to them?
man. You know, there's no right or wrong impulse, right? There's no, because you do a job that you might not love, but it's providing. And it's not that it's necessarily right or wrong. It's the place that you're in and the time that you're in it. Um, I think the scariest thing about taking a risk is just jumping completely into the unknown. And unconsciously, when I talk about it, I don't really get to talk about me often. I don't really like to. Um, but doing this actually has given me some realizations of my past, I guess, without even really thinking about it. Because high school, college, everywhere I've went in life, I didn't know anybody. It was 100% risk. And every time that I did it, I made memories and friendships that I will forever hold. And my life has been directly changed from those risks that I took. Um, Chasing music is the biggest risk that I could have possibly imagined taking. I'll never forget when I told my parents that I want to move to Nashville. They didn't laugh at me, but I knew they were scared. I knew that they were concerned. I knew my family was like, all right, we believe you and we trust you and we know you could do it. So we'll support you. But, I've always had family members and friends that would ask me when I would move back after college. Um, when I told them all that I wasn't, they all thought I was wild, crazy for it. But I just chasing a dream is just sounds so cliche. It's going to sound crazy, but it is really truly not giving up on it. It's the hardest thing in the world. Doing this thing has not been easy, and it won't get any easier. But I love it, and I wouldn't trade $1 million salary for what I do now, because I get to go to bed and wake up every day happy that I got to do what I got to do that day. And for me, that's worth every risk, every possible failure, every failure that I've had, every failure that's yet to come. Um, it's the feeling, man. It's good. It's a good feeling, and I wouldn't change it. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's just
No,
it's just,
dude, yeah, kind of just drop the mic there with that $1 million salary line. I mean, that's really true though, right? I mean, because that's what like you said, you got to provide. Some jobs are meant to just provide, maybe like they're not what you want to, maybe not what you love doing. But if you can wake up every day and not trade $1 million salary for feeling what you're doing, that's pretty powerful, in my opinion.
there's
So,
a. I mean, I wish I would have liked to. I wish I liked to read in college or in school as much as I do now, because you couldn't pay me to read a book in school. But now
oh no,
I actually thoroughly enjoy it,
yeah,
and I would rather read a book than scroll on social media. And I've
yeah,
been doing lately. I've been reading books,
yeah.
but I've, there's a book called the Warrior Poet Way, and I highly suggest it. But there's something in that book, and there's a book called Soundtracks by John Acuff, and they kind of correlate here, but it's another thing that you probably see when you're scrolling on Instagram. But it's like success. You can measure success in many ways, but my true measure of success in my life and those that are around me, we all kind of measure it the same way, is that we're happy, man. Like, we're all happy. And I've been so blessed and fortunate that the people that I work with in Nashville that I consider my best friends in the world are all highly motivated individuals that put God first and they care about one another. And that has been the game changer in my life, because if I was here in the wrong crowd, which I've navigated through in my early years, you know, I wouldn't have that same answer for you. I'd be miserable and I would feel like I was owed something. But I found that group of people that pushed me and I pushed them, and we all work together to do what we want to do. And we're all happy, and we can all look at each other and confidently say that. So, you know, that's when they say the risk is worth the reward. Whatever the reward looks like monetarily, or whatever kind of money we make doing this thing, awesome. But those relationships are worth every single feeling, I guess, man. That's the most important thing for us.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. That's good stuff. All right, Matt. Well, dude, wishing you all the success, man. I hope one day you are getting paid $1 million to write these songs. And Bailey Zimmerman, that's big, man. So I'm sure you're probably buddies with him at this point. I bet that's got to be cool too. Not to keep going here, but got to be cool to like build a relationship with. Not that it matters that where he is in his career, but I'm sure guys like that probably like to reach back down and pull dudes up with them, right? If they're good guys.
For
So
sure, it happens all the
yeah,
time. We haven't really got to meet Bailey yet, but
yeah.
I know that if it's meant to happen, it will. And
There you go.
we'll make
There you go, man.
it.
All right. Well, just maybe if you wouldn't mind, just give a quick shout out to where people can find your music, Instagram, all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. That's simple as it gets. It's just Matt Gorman Music. That's on all the platforms, Spotify, Apple, just Matt Gorman, and that's where we're living. So we're getting excited. We have a song coming out in June 20th. A song called "Side of You." So about to start promoting that here soon, and then working up towards the next one. So it's awesome.
Sweet, dude. All right, man. Looking forward to continue following along here, Matt. So thanks again, brother.
So thanks for having me, man.